Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Elena, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about a higher perspective on judgment or judging things, people. I've been thinking about this and I was like, I need to really make a video on this because, I have a different perspective in terms of this and I don't see it often, so I'm just going to share what I see. Because we are in a 3D experience and we are in our 3D bodies and we are kind of navigating the world with our unique perspectives and with ego, because we have personalities and we make choices, it's normal for us to judge things. So when I say judge things, it's like simple things like, oh, I don't like the taste of this. Oh, I really like this. Oh, I don't like how someone did this. Oh, I really like this, how to do this, right? I like the way they handled this. So that's kind of what I'm talking about when it comes to judgment and judging things. I know on the higher perspective and in the spiritual realms, everything is all love, everything is unconditional. You choose whatever you want to choose. They will still love you in the end. They'll still accept you in the end. However, because we are in our human bodies and in a 3D experience, we have to almost learn to marry both of these two aspects of us, like our spiritual connection as well as our physical connection, integrate both of them in harmony so that we can start creating the reality that our higher selves have intended for us to experience on this 3D plane. So with that being said, I also want to say that everything in this universe is fundamentally neutral. So the reason why we feel a certain way about things is because we assign meaning to it. So we can either assign the things that happen to us in a positive way or in a negative way. So, and of course, when we do that, we reinforce that reality to which we have chosen to believe in. So let's say if we think something happens to us and it's a negative thing, it's a bad thing, and we are focused on it being a bad thing, we kind of reinforce that in our world. And there will be a negative outcome to it. Whereas like for positive outcomes, like if you see something and you, even though it seems unlikely that it would be a positive outcome, if you focus on it enough and say like, there has to be a reason why this is happening, there must be a reason why this is happening, then spirit and must show you that there is a positive reason for it to happen. Because it's your belief systems and what you are creating based on what you believe in, because the reality is based on what we believe in. Okay. Excuse me. So I think this is kind of interesting too, when I have these understandings and then I kind of see, for instance, let's say somebody is judging you, okay, and you're taking it in a negative way. Let's say you don't like what they're saying. What you're essentially doing is you're agreeing to that judgment. So whatever they're saying, they're judging you in a negative way. What you're doing is you're lowering your vibration to the point where you're aligning with their frequency, and you are accepting part of their judgment as truth. So you're actually believing on some level that what they say is actually true about you. And because you're believing that, what you're doing is essentially creating and manifesting more of that belief in your reality. And so therefore, maybe you feel like judgments are getting louder and louder. It's because there's a part of you that believes it to be true. There's a part of you that is agreeing to what they are saying. And essentially, almost either agreeing more of what someone's opinion of you is versus what your opinion of yourself is. Now, granted, sometimes people will say things, maybe they are criticizing constructively for you or criticizing in general. It's important to have some self-awareness and self-accountability as well, and discern for yourself what is true and what isn't. However, I feel as if you know for a fact that you are not whatever they're saying, this is when it's really important to look at the positives of why you may have attracted certain people that consistently judge you or criticize you or whatever. And that is one of the positives, would be that they're kind of showing you a reflection that, do you believe what they say is true? Do you know yourself well enough? What is your opinion of yourself? So a positive spin would be like, if somebody says something or criticizes you and you don't believe it, and like, you know, in your heart, like, it doesn't make any sense, you probably wouldn't even really notice it. You wouldn't get mad about it. You would just be like, okay, that's really weird. You wouldn't even try to defend your name or whatever. You'd just be like, that's a very, like, I don't know what you're talking about. Another thing would be like, you wouldn't lower your vibration to accept what they have to say, because you know yourself so well that whatever they say, whatever criticism or judgment they have of you, you know yourself so well that you're like, this doesn't make any sense. So a positive would be that you are being tested, or you're reinforcing to yourself how true you are to yourself, how honest you are to yourself, how well do you know yourself, okay? So that could be a positive in terms of these types of people reflecting to you in your reality. Another thing too is sometimes when we see people like that in our reality, and maybe before when you were younger, maybe you judged yourself really harshly, so you kind of almost see that in your reflection, your reality in that way, where it's almost reminding you of how far you've come. Where it's like, maybe you've been really critical of yourself, and you're learning now that that voice of criticism was never yours to begin with. Maybe it was adopted to you, or maybe you adapted being around other people who are hypercritical of themselves and are projecting it to you, and somehow their voice has now manifested into what your inner voice has been, right? And you're learning from your observation of these people in your reality that maybe they're just reflecting you old versions of yourself, of who you used to be, and you get to see how far you've come in life. Another positive thing that you can take from seeing people who are constantly criticizing or judging you or don't like you or whatever, you can kind of see for yourself, it's like, thank you for showing me who I'm not, you know? Maybe you've learned to not be critical anymore, so you see people who are hypercritical, you realize that, you know, this has nothing to do with you, and maybe it's just like, this is not a person that you prefer to be around. Maybe you're in an environment that is not suited for you. It's almost like coming back to yourself and coming back into the wholeness of who you are. So when you're surrounded by a lot of people that are like that, you're being clear with who you are. You know the truth of who you are. And when you think about it that way, on a higher perspective, we're all here to know ourselves better. We're all here to know who we are more and more every day, and stand in our truth, and to not allow the influence or the energy of other people to sway us into doubting who we are and what we represent and what we stand for. So when we look at people's judgments and expect a positive outcome, it's almost like, to me, that would be the positivity of it. It's like, no matter what anyone says, it doesn't matter, because you know yourself better than anyone. The good opinions of others, the bad opinions of others, it matters not what they say, because you have worked on yourself enough to be detached from anything that is being thrown your way. So I guess my message is today is, if people are going, especially if you're growing up and you're around a lot of people that are hypercritical of you or hyper judgmental of you, know that it is not personal. If you take it personally, that means there's this part of you that must either believe in what other people say or seek validation in what other people are saying about you, or maybe there's some truth to what they're saying. Whatever it is, like, there's some shadow work that needs to be worked on with that. However, if you can see it and honestly look at that judgment and detach from it, knowing it has absolutely nothing to do with you, I feel like what you're sending to the universe is that you've grown in your self-awareness enough, and to be so entrenched in your own peace enough that maybe this is the last kind of like push, where a repelling system happens where you're now being moved to spaces and places with people who are more in alignment with you, whereas these people who are judging you, it's almost like they are going to stay in that frequency, and maybe you are now being more clear on the types of people you want in your life, and who you represent, and who can see you for who you really are, because you know who you are better, you know? Anyways, I think, you know, that's the message that wants to come through today. I hope this video helps who's watching, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, bye.